guys, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ken, and today we're here to talk about the new Matrix movie that we just watched on HBO Max. And I know you're super excited about that.
I am so excited, that I didn't even finish the movie, so...
Yeah, so this is going to be, you're kind of going to be like my co-pilots. I'm sure you've got a couple things to say about the movie. But this is the Matrix Resurrection, Revelations, something that starts with an R. Every sequel to the Matrix starts with an R. So there's like Reloaded, Revolutions. I believe Resurrections is right. Revenge, Returns. One of those maybe. Okay,
well, I couldn't help you. I know, like, going into this, you were more of like an original like Matrix fan.
I am an original Matrix fan. I've got the 4K back there. I haven't even bought the sequels on 4K.
Yeah.
But an interesting fun fact, the first movie that we ever saw in theaters together was a Matrix movie.
And I don't remember it.
And it was Matrix Revelations. Was that right? Resolution. I don't know. It was the third one. It was the third. I can't remember all the R titles. But it was the third one that came out. We saw in the theaters. That was the first movie we ever saw when we were, 16, 17, whatever.
Yeah, and obviously it wasn't memorable for me. So
you didn't even remember it. So
I don't know if that means something bad for the movie or for you.
I don't know. Let's get into talking about this movie. But before we do that, we want to ask that if you're not yet a subscriber of Married with Media, definitely hit the subscribe button. Also hit the like button and comment down below if you got some thoughts about this movie. Let us know what you thought. If you watched it on HBO Max, did you go out to the theater? This movie didn't do very good in the theater. It only did like 12 million or something opening weekend compared to Spider-Man, which did like 260 million.
Yeah, which I think I just heard that it officially passed Endgame or was it Endgame that it was up against with highest?
It didn't pass Endgame or Infinity War just yet, but it's the highest grossing Sony movie.
Oh, I thought that they had said it officially had passed.
It'll break a bunch of records more than likely. But we're not here to talk about Spider-Man because I haven't seen that movie.
He still hasn't seen it, guys.
But yeah, when I do, we'll talk about it. But let's talk about the Matrix Resurrection. I think that's correct. The same subtitle that Halloween Resurrection has, which is Halloween 8, which is notoriously the worst Halloween movie. So I don't think this is the worst Matrix movie from memory. I've only seen the other two sequels one time, but I remember Revolutions being the worst one, the one that we saw together. So I would put this one probably like after that. I think that the biggest thing about this movie is it just doesn't feel like it needs to exist, kind of like the other Matrix sequels.
Right.
Like the first Matrix was a landmark, groundbreaking science fiction action movie that just had a completely original like script and vibe to it. It just should have stood on its own.
Yeah.
So this movie, there's really just not a lot to it. I'm trying to remember like the plot of it. Do you remember anything about it from the parts that you watched?
I mean, yeah, having like very little memory of like the original Matrix.
Yeah. And when was the last time you saw the original Matrix? Have you ever seen it?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen it. But, I mean, it was a long time ago, probably when it first came out, which was when? Do you know when the first one came out?
The first one came out in 1999.
Okay, yeah. So, it was probably, like, when it went to, what? Do we have DVDs back then? Or was it?
Yeah, that DVD was just coming out back then. So I had a VHS tape, though. I might
have rented it back when I used to watch a lot of movies with Cassie, my friend. So... I don't know. I just know that with this one, it was like, of course there's always like, they bring in the younger generation, who are, living in the real world, or what do they call it?
It's weird with this one because it kind of starts with, I'm trying to remember everything. It kind of felt like Free Guy a little bit, to be honest, because they were like in a video game world, I think.
Well, yeah, Keanu Reeves' character, that he's been taking, the blue pill?
Yeah, so basically...
The blue pill so that he can forget everything that he's been he had experienced in the other movies.
Yeah.
And they've basically made him think that he works for this video game company or something.
Yeah, he's developing a video game, but the characters from his video games start coming into the world that they're in. So I was confused on were Keanu and Trinity. Was Keanu Reeves, Neo, and Trinity, were they in the Matrix, or were they in an alternate like Matrix that they developed? Were they in like a new Matrix? I don't know. I was kind of confused. It was interesting. It's just like after about 45 minutes, like when they went out into the real world, which is always the dullest part of the Matrix movies when they go into the real world. But it just felt like they got a little bit lost with that story, and then they tried to do something different, and it ultimately becomes like a story of like love between like Neo and Trinity by the time we get to the end of the movie. So it's like a science fiction action love story. So I'm surprised you didn't like it.
Yeah, like basically with Keanu Reeves' character, he's created this video game, and all of his characters are based on what he experienced in like the old movies or whatever, but he doesn't remember it. But it's like his subconsciousness remembers these little pieces. It's like it was coming through or whatever. Even though he was taking the blue pill to try to forget every day, he would still get like these little glimmers of things. And so like his subconsciousness had like pretty much modeled these characters after, people like Trinity and like you said.
Yeah.
But
Morpheus, who was played by I can't remember the guy's name, but the same guy that was in Candyman.
Right.
So Lawrence Fishburne is not in this movie. I don't know if they just didn't want him back or they offered him to come back and he didn't come back. I don't understand why he's not back. But, this guy's playing like a computer generated version of Morpheus, basically.
Well, yeah. And then too, like, who's the one guy? It was like his boss at the game company. Like
that was like a younger version of the I can't remember the bad guy. The Agent Smith.
I don't know if you knew his name like in real life. The actor.
So
right?
Hugo Weaving, yes, the same guy, the elf father.
Yeah.
He is the villain of all the Matrix movies. So he's Agent Smith, I believe, is what they call him. So,
but like for
they were using different actors for everybody. Even Trinity, like there was a younger version of Carrie-Anne Moss in the beginning. I respected that, like because they could have just done like a CGI younger version of her, and it would have looked all wonky.
Oh, you're talking about that scene where she's like running.
So yeah, they rely on like nostalgia for the first Matrix very heavily in this movie.
Yeah,
like in the very opening of this movie, like I was watching, and I was like, this is like the exact same scene from the original, but it was a different actress. So I'm like, are they just trying to like replicate it or whatever? But no, it was supposed to be the same scene from the original that the other people were spectating from the other world. So it's kind of doing a bunch of like different types of meta things throughout this. Like you're seeing old footage on like TVs of Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne from the first one.
Yeah.
So it's doing that kind of stuff all throughout the movie, just trying to like capitalize on your nostalgia for the Matrix. So
yeah, and then like
which I think hurts it more than it helps it, because it just reminds you that, oh, I'm just watching an inferior version of a better movie.
Right. So. Well, then also with Keanu Reeves, remember when they showed him like what he really looked like, or what he was it what he really looked like, or was it what he looked like to others? It's
what he looked like to others in this particular world. Like I said, I don't know if the world that they were in was the Matrix or if it was like something else. They called it something else, and I can't remember the title of that either.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, since they relied so heavily on nostalgia, and that obviously wasn't there for me. Like, I guess that's why this movie didn't really resonate with me, which is fine. I think that it's fine to make a movie for like the true fans of Matrix. Like that's totally fun.
But I do think, like I said, that's backfiring on, because this movie's not being very well received by fans of the Matrix.
Well, it's also I'm not quite sure if that works as far as like bringing in new Matrix fans.
Yeah.
But.
So asking you as somebody that doesn't really remember the other Matrix, is this a movie that you could watch and follow without seeing those, do you feel like?
I mean, I feel like I can't answer that good because I didn't finish the movie.
Yeah, you didn't finish it.
But just based off of what I did see, I mean, I do think it's confusing.
Yeah. So I think this movie also relies very heavily on your knowledge of Revolutions, which is the third one, because it does bring in Jada Pinkett Smith, who was a big character in that movie, which I didn't even remember until they did the flashbacks. And I was like, oh yeah, she was
Well, I told you, I'm like, that's her. And
yeah,
you're
a
like,
big
oh
character.
yeah, she is in this movie.
So they take you to that city of, I can't remember, I think it's like Zion or something. Yeah. They show you like where they all ended up, because apparently this is 60 years after the first one.
And then that's where they were like taking the genetic makeup of a strawberry or something. Yeah. Like they were able to make strawberries even though like...
Yeah, because they used to eat like this porridge stuff. They said tasted like rust.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I don't know. Well, my final thoughts on this. I know you probably don't have final thoughts, but I don't think this is like the worst thing in the world. I don't think it's a horrible movie by any means. It's just like you're gonna revitalize a franchise after 20 years. You expect a little bit more.
Right, yeah.
And this is just a very basic sequel that just feels extremely uninspired and unimportant, and didn't really have anything new to add to this franchise or universe. So I give it like a 2.5 out of a 5. So I'd be like right down the middle. I enjoyed some things about it. There was some fun action, in the movie. I thought most everybody's performance was okay. I didn't really have any issues, I think that they could have used a little bit more Trinity in the movie, because she doesn't really come into her own and come back into like the last 30 minutes. So I think they could have utilized her a little bit better. But yeah, it's just a middle of the road movie. So I honestly can't even recommend that you waste your time unless you're just really curious about a fourth Matrix movie.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't finish the movie, but based on a incomplete viewing of it, I would probably give it a 2.75.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it still is like a cool concept. I mean, I generally like those types of movies.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was just, the night that we watched it, I just wasn't feeling it, or I was too tired or whatever. But at the same time, I don't really think I have any desire to go back and finish it.
It's a cool concept that worked perfectly fine in the first one. Yeah. And that's the only one that should have existed, because sequels sound good. Like you feel like you want to know more about this universe and stuff and what makes it up. But really, it's the mystery element that makes it interesting. And I just like watching the first one and just forgetting about what happens afterwards and just getting lost in that mystery aspect of the universe.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'll say 2.75 for me.
Yep. And fortunately, I don't think we're going to have to worry about any more sequels, because this movie did pretty bad. So.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hopefully this is the end of the Matrix franchise and they forget about it and stop doing them. And Keanu just focuses on more John Wick movies, because those are actually good and I like those. So yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and turn on those bell notifications for all future videos. I know we're going to be doing our top 10 movies and TV shows of 2021. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button, like, comment, all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye, guys.